All right, Will. I think we are live.
All right, Todd. Let's get started.
All right, so today is November 28th, and this is Boat Talk, Season 1, Episode 1. All about boats. It's a call-in, so if you see the number on the screen, call us, ask us anything you want about boats or any boating-related topic. So the future of Boat Talk, I'd like it to happen on Sunday instead. Today's Monday. Sunday people have off and they can call in. So I'm thinking like 4:30 to 6 o'clock. Always have a couple of captains, a host and a co-host. I'm gonna aim for an hour and a half every Sunday, but who knows how that'll go. Maybe we do 30 minutes today and we get sick of it, or an hour, or maybe we just can't stop.
We'll see.
So I asked Will to come up with a topic for today. I always want to have a topic for every episode. So I asked him if we could do what is a captain, meaning what's the difference between someone who just calls himself a captain, someone who has their captain's license, and you mentioned a credit card captain, and then there's also people who have their boating license. What's the difference between all that? So before we get into that, will you tell our Zero viewers how we know each other, and after that, what are your qualifications? What license do you have?
Okay. Well, I met Tyler through a friend of ours, Jeff, and it was always about, he went sailing with us, and I think we just continued to go sailing and move boats around. We've done some deliveries together. They've been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then my qualifications are I have a 100-ton master's with a sail endorsement. I have an STCW 2-3, which means that I am proficient in lifeboat training, firefighting, and advanced medical, with on top of that an assessment, and that was for the last 5 years I've been a captain in BVIs and USVI water. That was a credential to get over to the BVIs. So that's my credentials.
Do you have to have an STCW to work outside the United States? Is that what it is?
No, you don't.
Okay.
That was more their policy.
I see. And how long have you been a licensed captain?
This term around 5 years. So I had one before, I let it lapse. Also,
Okay.
do not let your license lapse, otherwise you have to start all over.
I've heard that. That
Yeah,
sounds miserable.
it's not fun.
Okay. I don't have quite the list of credentials you do. I'm a 100-ton master. I have my sailing and towing endorsement, and I don't have any of that extra fun stuff. I've never done the firefighting course.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
Not on
I
the
hardly
boats.
even really need my master.
Not on the boats we run.
And so I run mostly island hopping party charters here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I teach both powerboat and sailing lessons. Now, if somebody calls me and wants to do a sailing lesson, it has to be on their boat because I don't have a sailboat. And when it comes to powerboat lessons, I can either get on their boat, and I'm happy to work with them on theirs, which is preferable. Or if they don't have a boat and they're looking at buying and they want lessons, they can go out on my 27-foot Regal 2016 inboard-outboard, just a simple deck boat. But mostly it's charters lately. But in the past, I did deliveries. I've delivered to the Virgin Islands, to Texas, to New York on both sail and power. I want to put together how many miles I think I have under my belt, but I'm sure it's upwards of 20,000. I'll put that together one day. So I'm going to try to get things going with the calls by texting my family and friends, because nobody's watching this yet, and get them to call in with boating questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to actually send out a text now. We can start on the topic. Yeah, give me a second. I'll put together a text to my parents. Here's the number.
Thanks, Sam. We got all day.
201-3086. For those of you who cannot read the screen for whatever reason, all 0 of you, The number to call is 727-201-3086. You can text your mom too.
Okay.
I'm just going to get started on the topic while we wait. Hopefully we get a call. What is a captain? All right. First off, let me just touch on how you can be a captain without getting a captain's license or a boating license. You own a boat. That's it. Simple. If you own a boat and you operate that boat, you're a captain. That's all you need. You can be 18 years old, have no boating license, have no captain's license, and if you call yourself a captain, I'm not going to call you out on it. I will totally agree with you. You're a captain. That's number one. The camera gets really shaky when you touch the table. Do you want to tell us what a credit card captain is?
So down in the islands, we get we call them credit card captains, which they have more money than sense. Granted, they have a credit card that's probably a platinum card, and they can run into anything they want to and sink a boat and just kind of walk away from it, which actually happened. The guy said, I didn't know you guys had reefs around here. Basically tossed the guy the key and sunk the boat. That is a credit card captain. There was also another prime example. I was explaining this on board when I was taking out a group of guests, and there was a CYOA boat coming out. We called it Create Your Own Adventure. We called it Cover Your Own Ass, because you have to have the insurance to back that up. Anyways, they were leaving port, and they had their dinghy half in the water, taking on water, and their anchor was down, coming through the main channel. So there you go, case in point, some wonderful credit card captains.
Okay, so just to be clear here, a credit card captain does have their captain's license?
No, they do not.
They don't. So are they running legal charters?
No, they just rent the boat for the day.
Oh, okay. So let's say a group of 10 friends want to go down to the islands and they want to bareboat a catamaran, and one guy in the group says, I know how to drive that. I'm a great boat driver. And he sucks.
Yeah.
That's a credit card captain?
That's a credit card captain.
I see. Got it. Another one. So, let's just quickly talk about boating license. Anybody can get their boating license for free, and it's good for life. I think you can get it through the Boat US page. And if you do it online, it takes like 3 hours, and you can't skip through it. It's kind of brutal. But if you were born after January 1st, 1988, you have to have a boating license to rent a boat, to operate your own boat, or to rent a jet ski. I hope I'm getting this information right. Is that right?
Sounds about right.
I think it's right. So if you were born before, I was born in '86, so I don't need any boating license. So I can go rent a boat, assuming they will let me, and I don't need that.
They'll let you. Your credit card captain.
They will, because my list of experience, they should let me rent a boat. They let people way less qualified rent.
Yeah, I had one guest when I was working at the Ritz selling charters for them, and I said, what are your credentials for taking out this vessel? And he goes, well, I'm a hot air balloon captain. That's a new one. Never heard that one.
Good enough.
I've heard the forklift driver one, which I kind of get it, but a hot air balloon captain, how do you get that credential?
Why a forklift driver?
Because they were taking out a sailboat, so it's it's the way it drives, I guess.
I drove a forklift and it had a joystick, and that to me is nothing like sailing.
That's a fancy one.
That was back, 12
Never
years
seen
ago.
one with a joystick.
The Sam's Club.
Oh, there you go.
They had it. Okay, and then the final kind of captain that I can think of is a real licensed captain. Now, you never need your license unless you plan on making money on the water. So, now some people get it just to brag. Hey, I want to be able to call myself a licensed captain. That's fine. Do it. But it's a lot of little hoops to jump through just to call yourself a captain when you can just own a boat. So captain's license, a basic 6-passenger or 6-pack, allows you to operate trips for hire. You can make money. You can have passengers for hire on your boat or another boat, up to 6 people. You can do fishing charters. You could do island hopping charters with a basic 6-pack. In order to get that 6-pack, you need a minimum of 90 days on the water out of the last, I think it's 5 years.
Yeah.
You need to get some a doctor to check you over, get your medical card, pass an exam.
CPR.
Yep, CPR, first aid, what's another, drug test.
Yep.
And you can get all that done for about $1,000, and you can probably knock it out within a month if you're quick. I did mine on the computer at home, and it took me 3 months from start to finish. That was including everything, the time it took to send out the packet and get my license back. But I went for my master, and what a master edition does is allows you to operate a boat for whatever it's rated for in passengers. So let's say I get on a 45-foot Dolphin tour boat, and it's been inspected by the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard says, this boat can carry 39 passengers. Because I have my master endorsement, I can, or it's not really an endorsement.
Yeah, it's a license.
Yeah. If I have that master on my license, then I can take that boat out. If that boat had never went through the inspection process with the Coast Guard, even though it's a big boat that can hold 39 people, it's still limited to 6. And then if it's only got 6 passengers on it, then any old 6-pack captain can take it. And the captain's license is good for 5 years. I've been through 1 renewal.
I'm about to renew.
He's never been through a renewal.
No, I'm about to right now. Yeah.
He just went through a lapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I can add to that. So if you ever see these huge barges going down the Mississippi or anything like that, so for that barge, so you have 50 ton, you have 100 ton, you have 200, you have 500 ton.
16, what are all of them? 1,600,
Yeah.
3,200, and then unlimited?
Yeah, something like that. But the thing is, just to run that little vessel pushing that, all you need is a 50 ton license because the boat's under 50 tons. But it can be 300 feet long. There's just no one on it. You're just pushing the little boat. I thought didn't think that would happen, but whatever.
And tonnage is not the weight of a boat. It's this weird calculation that I'm convinced no one can do in their head. It's like internal volume divided by displacement times the inches in your waistband. I mean, it's just some uncalculatable. You need a calculator or somebody who knows what they're doing. I can't do it. But up to a 100-ton boat is still a pretty big boat. But it's not 100 tons in weight.
Is correct. And there's anyone call in?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm gonna text out. They'll call through the computer if they do.
Oh.
I'm gonna text out Justin, and I'm gonna text Tim. See if we can get one of these calls.
I tried. I got nothing on my end.
Big part of today is testing out sound quality, and so if we don't get people calling in, then we don't really have the chance to do that. Josh Kiefer, I wonder if he'll. Here we go. Hey, you're on Boat Talk. Who's this?
Hey, dude, what's up?
Hey, what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Tim, and I'm busy at work.
Oh, you're busy at work? All right. Well, you are live on Boat Talk with Tyler and Will.
What's going on, Tim?
Cool.
We're testing it. He just hung up on us. You son of a... All right. That was my buddy Tim. Thank you, Tim, for coming through. Oh, no. Text my buddy Brendan, and he's like, I'll call you later. Like, no, we're live now.
727. It's 201-3086. Hang on.
He's texting his second cousin from his mother's side, Dave Latterly.
Didn't you get the text I sent you to call in?
That's all right, we're getting a call.
Yeah, it's in a text. All right, we're taking a call. Look at your text and call in. Bye.
Hey, you're live on Boat Talk. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello, you're live on Boat Talk.
Can I help you?
Are you in Tampa right now?
Who's calling?
You're calling. You calling us?
No, you just called me. I just got an incoming call from your number.
Don't believe him. All right, so what this is your.
There's two.
We're gonna hold and accept. So what you've called into is a. Oh wait. You're live on Boat Talk. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Colleen from Atlanta, and I have a question for y'all.
Colleen from Tampa?
From Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Close enough.
Well, you are on with Tyler and Will.
Well, I'm so excited because I have a question that I just need some help with.
Hit us.
I've been looking at boats, and a lot of these sailboats are talking about the draw. It draws this amount or that amount. And I don't know, is it better to have a 5-foot draw, a 20-foot draw? And whatever the draw is, what does that mean as far as the stability of the boat or where you can take it?
All right. You want to start out with this?
All right. Well, the draw or draft of a boat, it depends on what kind of boat you want. Race boats tend to have a deeper keel, so they can point higher into the wind. They're a little more stable. Then there's a shallow draft boat, which is great if you go to the Bahamas, because Bahamas, if you have a boat that draws 3.5 feet, you can get in some really shallow places, drop your hook, which is easier because you're only, in 10 feet of water, basically. So it makes it easier to get to shore and back and everything like that. They don't sail quite as well, or some of them at all. But that's the main thing with sailboats and stability reasons.
All right, so the other part of it would be if you want to keep it at the dock, because maybe you're going to Airbnb it, that you would need to know the depth of, I guess, the marina there so that you can actually get it into that marina.
Yeah, that's true. Though most of the larger, more popular marinas are always going to be able to accommodate most standard sailboats. I mean, there's some marinas in tiny towns that you might have issues, but for the most part, if you pick a spot like here in St. Pete, we have the Municipal Marina downtown, the Harborage Marina. I don't think there's any slip in any of those marinas where you'd have trouble with even a 7-foot draft. Maybe some of the ones around the seawall, but they wouldn't.
J-dock.
J-dock.
The connecting dock, it draws 3.5 on one of them.
Is that North Dock, West Dock?
It connects the two.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So, but the marina knows this, and they won't let you go into that slip anyway.
Okay, so you would really have to talk to, say, the dock master to figure out, if you had a boat with, I guess, more of a draw, whether or not you could, say, if you're going from place to place, actually, like dock there for the day or the evening.
They're always going to include that questioning when you call in or you show up. They're going to say, what's the length of your boat? What's the beam of your boat, which is the width? They're going to say, what's the draft of your boat? And they're going to have all those stats for every slip in the marina, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, we can fit you in this slip.
Okay. All right, well, that has, I understand that way better than I did before, and I appreciate your help with that.
All right, Colleen.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for calling.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Legitimate question.
I doubt Alex is still with us, but let's find out. Are you still with us, Alex?
I don't think he's there.
He is not.
He gone.
Okay, so I just want to hit on a few things that Colleen asked about. A lot of people, well, all right, there's two drafts on a boat. There is an underwater draft and an air draft. So a draft, a regular draft, not an air draft, just a regular draft, is how much boat is below the water. So obviously you look at a boat, you're seeing the cabin, the cockpit, the wheel, if it's a sailboat, the masts. But there's a whole lot going on underneath. So on sailboats, which is what Colleen was referring to, you have to have a lot of weight down there to counteract the balance of the sailboat. If you don't have a lot of weight below the water, your sailboat's just going to go flat and it's not going to work. And you also need resistance that pushes against the side of the boat to make it go straight. I'll get into some of this on another call, but basically you have to have a lot of weight below the water. Now you could just put all of your weight in one big ball right below the water, and that would keep you up. But the reason that we want keels deep is so that we can sail closer to the wind and faster, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at a racing sailboat, some of them have probably 10-foot keels. What's the deepest draft you've ever heard of on any boat?
On any
Well,
boat?
let's say a sailboat.
The one I was operating in USVI was 9 feet. And that was a lot, but
That is huge.
you get some of them that are 14 feet.
Okay, yeah.
That's about the deepest I've heard.
Yeah, I've never seen one in person, but I mean, look up some pictures. It's quite a lot going on under the water. So you benefit by being able to go faster, being able to point better into the wind, which is great for racing. But you are losing out when you go into port and you get stuck on a sandbar. So it's a give and take.
Yeah, what you want to do with the boat. Is it more for pleasure? Is it more for fun? Do you want to win races or do you want to have a good time at the dock?
And that's what we should always ask the callers is, well, what's your goal?
Yeah.
Because if Colleen's goal was to cross the Atlantic in record time, go for that 20-foot draft.
Yeah.
But if her goal is weekend, autopilot, beer in
Grilling out.
hand, chilling, get something that's like 5-foot draft. That can go anywhere.
Yeah. And that's the thing is when you buy a boat, you got to think about what do you really want to do with it? How often are you going to take it out? And if you do take it out, let's say by yourself, can you handle it by yourself? So there's a lot of questions when you buy a boat of what you want it to do, and you can't get mad after you buy it and it doesn't do what you want it to do.
You can get mad all you want.
Well, yeah, you already paid for it, so
This ain't gonna do any good.
You just got to get mad at yourself.
And then an air draft is just how much boat is above the water. And this matters for bridges or
Docking.
docking.
Yeah, you can windage off the side.
Yeah, well, you gotta think. Yeah, if you have
If you got a houseboat.
a really big power boat
Yeah,
and it's got a lot of air draft, you have a lot of sail.
yeah. But that's like houseboats. So up on Lake Lanier, where I'm from Atlanta, and they have 110-foot houseboats, and they don't weigh that much. And then all of a sudden, a little squall comes up when you're trying to dock those things, and those twin 350s on the back don't really do a good job.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do also if you're docking and all of a sudden you're in a bad spot is try to reset, and then just, if you're going to hit anything, hit it slow. And always be calm when you're docking. Don't ever yell at your wife. They really hate that.
Don't yell at anyone unless you want them to yell back.
Yeah.
I try to ever avoid yelling on boats. It never works. It only makes people more upset.
It freaks them out.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you.
Yep.
You were running charters in the Virgin Islands?
Yeah.
And what were your charters like? Just were they day charters? Were they overnight? Were they week long?
I did all three of those. So like my day charters would start out about 10:30, and we would sail up and go see some turtles, and then we'd sail back and get pizza on a floating pizza boat that's out by Epstein's Island, which is always fun to take people to and tell the story of crazy Epstein. And then we do a sunset sail back in. 3-day charters are real easy. Make them. Always had a chef on board. Don't mess with the chef. You're the captain of the boat. You deal with the boat. The cook stays in there. You stay out of her or his way. But they had breakfast, lunch, and dinner all planned, and that was fun. Same thing with term charters, except you have more time, so you end up at different restaurants and different islands. So it was fun.
Okay, can you tell us a little more about Epstein Island? So, for example, when you go by, I'm sure you've got like something that you tell the clients.
Yeah, well, and you got to read the room too because you got some kids on board.
I understand.
Yeah, so I just say that is the notorious Epstein Island, and the parents say, you got to really read the parents about what their kids want to hear, and sometimes I had 2 girls that were 18, and they were obsessed with the island. They were so obsessed they jumped off the boat, swam to the island, and ran around on it till security caught them.
Okay, do you know who owns it now?
I don't. I've heard it sold a couple of times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I still think the estate owns it.
Okay.
But it's still there, and it's being maintained. It was kind of interesting. I was on charter the day that the FBI raided it. It wasn't much of a raid because he was already dead. But they came in with helicopters and rented a bunch of boats and went out. And
you were at the island or right offshore?
Yeah, it was. So it's in between. It's Little St. James and Great St. James. It's Little St. James, so there's a little cut in between there, and I was going right through when the FBI was swarming them.
Nice. And you had clients on board. I'm sure they loved it.
Yeah.
Clients love that kind of stuff. I get pulled over, my clients are like, yes.
Yeah, I love when they start taking pictures.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing to try to avoid is that.
So every time that I take people to Bunce's Pass, I have kind of a similar thing. I wait till we're right next to Fort DeSoto, and I say, all right, off to your left is Fort DeSoto. This is where Brian Laundrie was hiding from the police. Remember who he is?
Not really.
He killed Gabby Petito, the little blonde girl. It was all over the news about a year ago. They were in Utah, and they found her body in Utah, and they were looking for him. And then Dog the Bounty Hunter, there was so much press.
Oh, I did hear about
Dog
this.
came down to look for him, and was waiting at the bridge. And they didn't get him in Fort DeSoto, but people love that. They love hearing about murder
Stories.
and crime. They love crime stories.
I've got a good one in the islands I used to tell. This one you really have to read the room. If anyone gets a chance, if you ever watch Drunk History, look up the Dolphin House, St. Thomas. It's
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, look it up. It's a funny Drunk History episode. I'm going to give you the real PG version of it. NASA decided they wanted to communicate with aliens, so they paid these 2 doctors to live in a house with dolphins. And to kind of calm one of the dolphins down, the lady kind of had to stimulate him and make him calm down, and the 2 fell in love. This is a real story.
Wait, who fell in love?
The dolphin and this lady. They were kind of hooking
Did
up.
you say
a lot.
Dolphin House where?
Dolphin House, St. Thomas. And
Okay.
that went on for a little while. Then they started giving the dolphins LSD, and they said no more.
Wait. Why would NASA care about dolphins taking LSD? This is some weird stuff going on.
So one of the professors that was studying the dolphins, his brother or uncle or someone invented LSD back in the day.
How do you give a dolphin LSD?
I
And how do you know the dolphin's getting anything out of it?
I don't know.
This is some weird stuff.
So, anyways, when the lady left, they took it out of captivity and put it back in the ocean, and then it ended up back in captivity. But it ended up swimming to the bottom of the pool and killing itself because it missed the lady so much. Oh, it's a whole story. There's a book there's a book about it. I
Is
forget
it
the
Margaret Howe Lavatt?
Maybe.
It was a NASA-funded research project in which she attempted to teach a dolphin named Peter
Had a talk.
to understand and mimic human speech. This is messed up, dude.
I told you, it's a good story though. Only in the islands.
Is she still alive?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Impressive.
It's funny they don't know her age. She's either 79 or 80 years old. Okay.
Yep, the dolphin house is still there. It's kind of torn down. I have some pictures of it on my phone. Maybe you can toss those up later. And some pictures of Epstein's Island.
Yeah. And then the other house that I point out on my trip is Angela Bassett's house.
Oh.
You know her?
Yeah, I know it's been a while.
Angela, if you're ever watching this, well, I'm sorry, but I point out your house as part of the tour. Because a lot of the older generation know you. The younger people, they don't quite know you. But I had Angela on the boat a couple times.
Oh, you did?
It did. She's a St. Pete resident. She was Stella from Stella Got Her Groove Back. She was she's in 911, the show now. She's in Avengers Endgame, the Black Panther, Queen. She's in all kinds of movies. Tell me about you. I'm sure you've had famous people on your boat.
The only famous people that I've had on the boat were two people that told me that they were famous when I picked them up at the dock. And the guy was on The Bachelor.
Oh, if they tell you they're famous, they're probably not, right?
Well, anyway, I got there on the dinghy on the tender to bring him out, and he said, "Did they call and tell you who I was?" And I go, "Yeah, I got the phone call." That's great. I go, "Get in the dinghy."
Oh, so you didn't care. Right.
Yeah, and it was raining on him and stuff. He was on The Bachelorette and he lost,
Oh, okay.
so he's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of those people on the on those reality shows.
Yeah, they took a lot of selfies. They set a drone off and had pictures of them jumping in the water, but that's about it.
Wait, Brendan's calling my.
Tell them to call the other thing.
I needed to come through the computer. Call the other number.
But if you ever get your captain's license and you want to run charters, you get good stories out of it all the time.
I also had Sadiq Charles from it was the Washington football team at the time, but the former Redskins and now the Washington Commanders. And I got a story about him. I don't know if Brendan's call is going to come through. Sadiq Charles comes out on my boat. He's probably I think he's 21 years old. Big boy, big necklace, and I had an inflatable unicorn. This was about a year and a half ago. And
I think I remember that.
he was going to
I've seen
ride.
pictures.
His brother was coming to join us, but his brother was at the beach, which wasn't far from where we were anchored. And he says, well, I'm gonna float on this unicorn to my brother. So he gets on it, lays down chest first, and his necklace ends up popping my unicorn. No big deal. The thing was $10, whatever. And he's only in chest deep water. So the unicorn's deflating, and he stands up, and he goes, "Bro, my necklace."
Ah,
And it had fallen off. And I told him, I said, "Don't you move. If you stay where you're at, I will come to you, I'll put on my swim shorts, and I will look all around it. But as soon as you move, I lose a reference point. Because in the water, everything looks the same." So I'm putting on my swim shorts, and I look back, and that dude is just walking around looking for his necklace. I'm like, I have no reference point now. I don't know where you dropped it. If you would have just stayed still. So we looked for it for about an hour, and we could not find it. He told me, I think he said 30,000.
that's his own fault.
Yeah. And it's funny, the next day, I was telling my charter group what happened, and they're like, "Let's go." And so I took them to the spot.
they
As
find
best no.
Ah,
No. We looked for a couple hours. But we had a great time looking.
it's treasure.
Yeah. I think I instigated. I was like, "Hey, you guys want to go look for some expensive jewelry that was dropped yesterday?" And they're like, Yeah, we want to do that.
Finders keepers.
Yeah, I gotta wonder, what would I have done if I found it? Would I have called him?
I said, "I'll take that from you. Let me give him a call. Give it back."
I would hope that I am a good enough person to just call and be like, "Hey, look."
We found it. I would have given it back.
But I would have been tempted. To sell it.
I don't know. You would have had a great review from giving it back. Tyler DeJohn is the most honest person.
I'd rather have 20,000 than a good review.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll trade my good reviews for 20 grand any day.
I'll write you one for 20.
Nope. Other way.
Yeah. Yeah, you have all kinds of tourists. Do you have any people that come on the boat and go, "Oh, by the way, I can't swim"?
Oh yeah, and I don't let them off the boat. Or, most people get let off in waist deep water anyway. So I tell them, if you can't swim, fine. Just go sit in that waist deep water.
Yeah. I've had a couple that almost went on me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they start spinning around. I'm like, "Don't do anything, just float. It's the ocean. It's salty. You can float." But they said, "Oh, I Googled how to do this last night." And I said, "Why don't you try this in a pool?"
They're learning how to swim on a Google search.
Yeah.
I think that's not the way to do it.
Some of our clientele weren't the best. Put it that way.
When I texted my friends to call, I didn't give them.
The number?
I didn't tell them the context. That's why Tim was like, "What?" He just hangs up on it. He's like, "I'm working." So I'm texting a couple people now and saying, "This is Boat Talk. Call." Who else would call right now? Oh, here's another captain. I'm telling my friends, Boat Talk is live now, but it looks like I'm saying, "Live now! Live right now!" So they probably think
I can see how that would work. Yeah. Oh well.
All right. So who do we got here?
And it's Brendan.
Hey, you're on Boat Talk with Tyler and Will. Who's this?
Hey, this is Brendan.
Where are you from, Brendan?
I am from Kissimmee, Florida.
All right. So you are live on Boat Talk. Do you have any questions for us? The topic today was what is a captain? You can keep it on topic, or you can ask anything you want.
What is a captain is the question?
Yeah, we talked about the difference between a person with a boating license, a person with their captain's license, a person who's a captain who doesn't have their license, and a credit card captain.
All right. All right. Question. I don't know. I guess, what do you guys think is the hardest responsibility of captaining, I suppose?
What was the question?
It's the hardest thing about captaining a boat. Is that right? I'm gonna go with that.
Yep, hardest part of the responsibility of a captain.
Hardest part of the responsibility of captaining?
Yep.
Human life first, the boat second, and then you last.
Yeah, so safety of the crew.
Is that what you think the hardest part is that you come last?
Well, yeah. Make sure that the people are safe, the vessel is safe, and then your own safety. I mean, sometimes not that order. Depends on whose boat.
Yeah, I think there's some responsibility in being a captain because you have to follow a lot of laws, and if you break them, you are either going to lose your career, which is your captain's license, or you're going to get a big fine. Now, I've already gone through getting a big fine, $3,500 for a captain of mine getting caught drinking and driving. I of course did not know he was doing that. But it's a lot of responsibility when I get in trouble for something somebody else does just because I own a boat and have a captain's license.
Yeah, true.
But you got in trouble.
Yeah, I guess it is pretty
I got a
difficult being
fine.
responsible for other people.
Say that again?
I said, I guess it is really hard to be responsible for other people and their behaviors, especially when you're not even present. So, yeah, sounds hard.
Yeah, that's why if you do find a good captain, hold on to them.
Yeah.
It's tough to find a really trustworthy captain.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is trust.
Well, guys, I think you answered my question, so I appreciate the input there and advice.
Well, thank you, sir, for calling in.
Thanks
Yeah,
for calling.
thank you, guys.
Call in next week, Sunday, 4:30.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
So wait, you got a fine and you weren't driving the boat.
Correct. And actually, you can get that fine even if you aren't a captain, just owning a business. I don't need a captain's license to run a charter boat business.
I know that, yeah.
So, all right. Looks like we got enough callers to where we can.
Check the sound on it.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else you want to go over while we're on?
I probably need to stay more on point and on being focused, because I can bounce around.
That's okay. We can bounce around.
Oh, we're off for the first one. Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll call it a day. We'll be back next week. It might be Will, it might be somebody else, but I'm gonna try to be here on Sunday for it. So there's the number. It'll be the same number. Give us a call. Till then, peace out.